If you've been following the news recently, you have definitely heard of what's going on with a certain set of files being released. And if you've been following my channel, you will know that there has been quite a bit of allegations of grooming, amongst other things that have taken place in the MMA/BJJ community in the past couple months. And some of these are much longer lasting issues than the last couple months, but they have been brought to light recently. Now, in this video, we are going to be getting a little risky with it, all right? We're going to be talking about today UFC fighters and other combat sports athletes that are most likely to be in the Epstein files, okay? So stick around to hear just who the most Epstein-like UFC fighters and combat sports athletes are. My name is Wyatt. Welcome to Fight Society. All right, guys, so before we get into the video, make sure you like and subscribe down below. Swipe left on the comment section if you're watching on your phone and hit that hype button for me. And shoot us a follow on Instagram at Fight Society Official. And before we get into the tier list of most likely combat sports athletes to be in the Epstein files, I do have to make a disclaimer for my own safety reasons and legal reasons. I am not alleging that any of these fighters or athletes or coaches are in the Epstein files or that they did something non-consensual towards an underage person, with the exception of one or two people. Now, this is based solely off of rumors floating around about them, some confirmed, some not. But I will say that I am not alleging that any of these athletes are in the Epstein files. I am saying that they have behaviors similar to those people that we saw on the Epstein list, okay? So now let's get into it. Now we will start with many people's GOAT of BJJ, and that is Gordon Ryan. Now we are gonna put Gordon Ryan all the way up at S tier in terms of most likely to be in the Epstein files, or most likely to be like Epstein, because it has been alleged that Gordon Ryan forced his younger brother, Nicky Ryan, to engage in unconsensual sexual acts with his girlfriend, wife, not really sure where they're at in their relationship at this point, Natalia Santoro, otherwise known as Sunny. The rumors have floated around for quite some time now, and it's even been cited as the reason that the Danaher Death Squad broke up. But very recently, we seem to have confirmation of Gordon Ryan forcing sexual relations between his wife and his younger brother, and possibly even their father. So there's a lot of crazy shit going on over at the home of Gordon Ryan, apparently. I don't know, I'm just saying, passing your chick around with your younger brother forcefully, and potentially your dad, along with a bunch of other crazy shit that I've heard about Gordon Ryan, he's gotta be top tier, okay? And as I get through this list, I might bump people up or down, but we will move on to another S tier Epstein files athlete, and that is Movsar Evloev, UFC featherweight, top 5 contender, undefeated featherweight that will be fighting Lerone Murphy in the main event of UFC London in about a month's time. Now, I will play clips referencing certain things, but Movsar Evloev said that he married his wife when she was underage, and that he married her when she was 17 and he was 23, 24 or something like that, because it makes their mind easier to mold when you meet them at a younger age.
She was 17.
Yeah.
I was 23, she was 17.
When you're married like an older woman, she already has
Big
her
experience.
ways. She has her experience, she has her ways set. It's hard
She
to...
has opinions.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you marry younger, it's much easier to, you know...
Mold her, make her your wife.
That is the most Epstein style shit I have fucking ever heard. Movsar Evloev, don't be surprised. I mean, we apparently saw Trump's name in there 38,000 times or whatever the hell it was. I'm not going to get political about who was in the list and who wasn't. We're having some fun talking about who is in this. And before we get into it, I just have to say, or before we go any further, I just have to say, I'm not saying that it's funny that any of these victims went through what they went through. I'm not saying the Epstein files are funny. I'm not saying that the things that these athletes did are funny, but we're going to have a little bit of fun with a very serious topic. So let's continue on. We have, I think I got to bump Gordon down to A tier. He's still up there, but he's not up there because he didn't mess with any underage people himself, but pretty weird if you ask me. Now we will move on to a no doubt about it, S tier Epstein style fighter. And this is former UFC heavyweight Pat Barry. Now, for those of you that don't know, he was about 30 years old, 31 years old when he met Rose Namajunas, who is a UFC fighter as well. She was 13, 14, 15 years old. As soon as she turned 18, they started seeing each other. They have been together for a long time. She's been coached by him and she's been with him. Pat Barry has given some really weird interviews where he kind of hijacks the interview from Rose Namajunas. There's a lot of weird shit going on there, but he was nearly 30 or over 30 years old when Rose was about 14 years old, 15 years old, and they ended up together. And he was her coach from a very young age. I find that super fucking weird, Pat Barry. And I know you guys have never addressed your relationship publicly or the weirdness about your relationship. I don't expect you guys to at this point, but just know the MMA community thinks you're a fucking creep.
You're on the show. When I say you're going to be on the show, I get the comments about your relationship, right? Are you going to ask him about this? Are you going to ask him about that? Do you want to address the history of your relationship once and for all?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Bro, we don't sweat that.
We will move on to absolutely another S tier that we cannot ignore, pointed out by Sean Strickland this past week in the media. S tier for sure. That is Aspen Ladd and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez's coach, Jim West. And I had to show Aspen Ladd in here as well, because if I put just Jim West, you guys probably wouldn't even know who he is. But Jim West, coach at MMA Gold Team, I believe the name of the gym is. He started coaching Aspen Ladd, former UFC fighter. She's now in BKFC or PFL or something like that. He was 35 years old, and he met a little 15-year-old Aspen Ladd, as Sean Strickland said himself. And he said, I'm going to marry that girl. According to Sean Strickland, okay? This is not according to me, but they are together, and you can tell that their relationship might be a little bit one-sided when it comes to power dynamic. I mean, even there was a little bit of controversy about how Jim West would speak to Aspen Ladd in between rounds in her corner, because not only is he Aspen Ladd's romantic partner, he is also her head coach. And that seems like a really weird scenario. So I can't help you out here, man. You did it to yourself. You're an S tier Epstein. You're up there with Bill Clinton on the Epstein list. If we're making an MMA Epstein list, Jim West, Pat Barry, Movsar, you guys were on the Lolita Express a million times. You guys are the MMA equivalent of Bill Clinton in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, we will move on to another professional grappler that I am also going to put in the S tier, and that is professional jiu-jitsu competitor Isaac Michel. Now, if you guys have followed my stories, followed my videos, all of that, you would know that Isaac Mitchell is essentially, based on the reports and all of the women that have stepped forward saying that they were assaulted by Isaac Mitchell, essentially, he's a serial rapist. I hate to say it like that, but yeah, Isaac Mitchell, from what I've heard and the stories that I've heard, some fucking terrible stories. I can't really go into detail, but I have heard some disgusting stories about this guy, Isaac Mitchell. He got kicked out of Craig Jones's gym. He got kicked out of Gordon Ryan's gym. Apparently, he's floating around Australia in a van, going town to town, maybe even racking up more victims to his list. Australian authorities will not extradite him to Austin, Texas, where he would be set to face assault charges or sexual assault charges due to budgetary constraints. Now, this guy is a fucking creep, S tier. I mean, this guy's a fucking creep. I've heard sexual assault, grooming, underage stuff, adult women being forcefully assaulted, disgusting shit from this guy, Isaac Mitchell. And as far as I know, ADCC has not even banned him from competing at this point. We must move on to another S tier. There's a lot of S tier. You guys are looking at this and you're like, oh my God, how many fucking S tier guys are there in terms of the MMA Epstein list? And holy shit, there's a lot, because here we have another jiu-jitsu competitor that I included in my BJJ Epstein files, and that is Andre Galvao. Former Strikeforce fighter, I believe he competed in one championship as well, was the head of Atos BJJ, where he was stripped of his authority management role in the association, I guess you would call it, for Atos, due to being accused of grooming and being inappropriately sexual towards underage girls in his gym, including rolling with like a 16-year-old girl, moaning in her ear, licking her ear during training. So much weird shit about this Andre Galvao guy. And his wife backed him up. I mean, I'll put I'll put links to all of my crazy stories about these BJJ guys in the description down below. But holy shit, this guy, even his wife stood up for him. He was grooming underage girls, allegedly, in his gym that he was training, girls that he knew as their coach since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. And he's over here licking them on the ear, all this stuff. And he got kicked out of the gym because apparently grooming is something that he finds as a hobby. And his wife, Angelica, backed him up to the woman, or girl, I should say it's underage. It's an underage girl. I shouldn't even say woman. The underage girl that accused him of grooming her and being inappropriate. Andre Galval's wife allegedly said, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you. We've done so much for you." And Andre Galval even made a statement on his Instagram saying that he had done so much for these people and they took advantage of him and they weren't grateful for what he did. It's a pretty crazy way to respond to assault allegations and grooming allegations. So Andre Galval is in fact an S-tier creep, Epstein style guy in the MMA world. And we move on to another S tier. And look how many fucking S tiers there are, guys. So I imagine if I just put the entire list in S tier. Here we have right there. It's kind of hard to see, but it is Valentina Shevchenko's head coach. So you have Valentina Shevchenko right here. Her sister, also former UFC fighter, Antonina Shevchenko right here. And then we have their head coach, Pavel Fedorov, I believe his name is. Pavel Fedorov. Now, I'll tell you guys a story about this because he has been training them since I believe they were like 12 or 13 years old. Antonina now has a child with him. He took them to Peru to train Muay Thai when both of these girls were minors. Antonina is no longer a fighter as far as I know, and she birthed Pavel's child, and he's years and years and years older. And Valentina Shevchenko never has had any sort of public romantic partner. And so with Valentina Shevchenko, Antonina Shevchenko, and Pavel Fedorov, you have this weird like sister wives type of deal where maybe Valentina Shevchenko is the one that's the better fighter. So Pavel's like, no, you're going to go fight and make us money. And then Antonina, you're kind of mid in terms of fighting. So, and you look a little bit less like a man. So I'm going to impregnate you. And this is all conjecture, but I think based on the evidence that I've seen is that this is entirely possible that Valentina Shevchenko's head coach, Pavel Fedorov, groomed not only Antonina Shevchenko, but potentially also Valentina. And Valentina's paying the bills. She's a multiple time over UFC champion. Whereas these two, I mean, he must know what he's doing as far as coaching because he coached both of them to very high levels. But also it could be a very weird sister wives type of situation. So something to keep an eye on and see if there's any other information that comes out. And I'm very interested to see how this video does and what type of backlash that I get for this video. Because when I do these edgy type of videos, like the BJJ scandals of grooming, or I mean, I'm literally making a fucking tier list of like MMA Epstein files. And usually I'll get some DMs from some people in some high places in the combat sports world that will either support me and be like, yes, here's some evidence that this weird shit happened. Or you'll have that people reach out and be like, how dare you say this about them? So I'll be very interested to see how some of these people respond to the video once I put this out. So we move on to, I'm going to say a very low level, I'm going to say even D tier Epstein file type of fighter. And that is UFC strawweight Tabitha Ritchie, because Tabitha Ritchie is 31 years old and she is dating the essentially face of Zuffa boxing, Callum Walsh, professional boxer. She's 31, he's 25. They've been together for like 5 years. So when you're 26, something like that, you're 26, you get with this young up and coming boxer that's 20 years old. And now all of a sudden, before he really makes it with his money, with his notoriety and his opportunity to go maybe get a girl his age, or a girl that's a year or two within his age, up or down in age. But a girl that's 6 years younger, I mean, you turned 18, he was 12. When he turned 18, you were in your mid-20s. So while she didn't break any law, as far as we know, it's just a little bit weird to get with somebody 6, 7, 8 years older when they're 20. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I even remember back in high school, there'd be like a senior dating a freshman and everybody look at him like he was fucking Epstein. So, and I know, of course, they're both adults and they can make their own decisions, but Still weird. 31 and 24, 25. That is a weird age gap. It actually kind of reminds me of Ian Gary and his wife, both Ian Gary and Callum Walsh, both Irish, by the way. We have another Irishman coming up on the list, but we have, you know, a older woman that doesn't have any sort of successful career. I mean, Tabitha Ritchie, she's in the UFC and she wins some, loses some, but she's not going to be a world champion. She's not going to make six-figure paydays in the UFC. Her best bet, if she didn't get with this up-and-coming boxer, what's the female UFC, what's the women's MMA fighter pipeline after the career doesn't work out? I think it starts with O and ends with F, something like that. So you guys can put that together in the comments, but Tabitha Ritchie, she didn't do anything illegal. It's just a little bit predatory, in my opinion, from a power struggle standpoint. Kind of the same thing as Ian Gary's wife. So D tier. I'll leave it at D tier. And we move on to somebody that I'm not going to put him very highly. I'm going to put him higher than Tabitha Ritchie, but I'm not going to put him that high, okay? I am going to put Khabib Nurmagomedov in the C tier for being on the Epstein list, likeliness of being on the Epstein list, because he didn't mess with an underage girl. He's not accused of any sort of abuse or grooming. But in their culture, arranged marriages are a thing. Same thing as Movsar Evloev. Now, if Khabib would have married his wife when she was underage, boom, S tier. Easy peasy. But they were both adults. The reason that I have him on the list at all, and I have him in C tier, and I know the fucking Khabib fans are going to lose their minds at this. He married his cousin. Her name was Nurmagomedov before they got married. Google it yourself. Your wife's a fucking towel, me, yeah? You can Google it. He married his wife. It's an easy Google search, all right? I know you Dagestani fans or whoever it is that supports the Dagestani fans or that supports the Dagestani fighters, because there really isn't that many people in Dagestan, but they still have a massive fan base. So whatever. The fans of these guys, wherever they are, wherever they're from, you guys can cope and say, oh, but McGregor allegations. We're getting to McGregor in a second, okay? It's equal smoke for everybody. Even McGregor, who got me into the sport, it's equal smoke for everybody, okay? So, Khabib Nurmagomedov, arranged marriage, so his wife didn't have any say in it. Arranged marriage to his cousin, who was already named Nurmagomedov before their wedding. C tier, okay? It's weird, slightly non-consensual marriage to your cousin, incestual marriage, and they have inbred children, but at the same time, he could have done a lot worse. That's all I'm saying. He could have done, I'm not saying he did something right, but he could have done a lot worse. I mean, look how many people are in the S tier and the things that I explained that they do. It could have been a lot worse. We have a few people left to get to, and one of them is the former light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion, Jon Bones Jones. Now, we're going to put him in the A tier. We're going to put him in the A tier because we don't have any confirmed weirdness when it comes to consent or anything like that. He doesn't have any grape allegations going around, but he's allegedly a closeted homosexual, beats women, gets a boner around Hasbulla, who is, even though he's a grown man, he is the size and appearance of a, 7-year-old boy, 6-year-old boy. He has a toddler-like appearance, and Jon Jones had a boner wrestling with him. We've talked about this quite a bit, and Hasbulla was terrified. Now, he's not a rapist. He's not a groomer like these other guys. So we have to put him in the A tier. I'd say him being attracted to a childlike man is what I'll say. Makes quite a bit of sense to put him in the same tier as Gordon Ryan, who forced his little brother to have sex with his wife while his brother was underage. So allegedly, all right, it's all just rumor, okay? So we have a couple people left, but Jon Jones, A tier. When you think about the Epstein list, the guys, like, you have the S tier guys. This is like Epstein's first call. He's like, yo, we're getting down and dirty this weekend with some crazy young girls. He's calling up these guys. You know what I mean? These guys right here would go, yippee, when's my flight? But Jones and Gordon Ryan, it's a little bit different. Gordon Ryan's like, no, I don't want to come and do that. I got to watch my brother and my dad fuck my wife. Or Jon Jones is like, oh, I'm closeted gay and I want Hasbulla, but I'm married to a woman with 5 kids anyway, so I'm just going to beat her. And I'm not making a joke out of domestic violence. I'm more making fun of Jon Jones for the reality of his life. But anyways, we move on to one of the most criticized people, one of the most famous people in the combat sports world, actually probably the biggest combat sports athlete of all time in terms, aside from Floyd Mayweather and like Manny Pacquiao, and that is Conor McGregor. Now I have Conor McGregor in B tier because he has been accused of sexual assault a lot of times. And no, we got to bump him up. We got to bump him up to A tier. What am I talking? We have to bump him up. You know what I mean? We have to bump him up. A tier minimum, maybe even S, because he's been accused a lot of times. He was found civilly liable in court in the Nikita Hand case. He's punched women. He beats up people. He allegedly rapes women. That's the rumor, in bathrooms at Miami Heat games. Now, nothing has ever stuck with Conor. The same way that Jon Jones in a lot of ways has come out scot-free. Fuck, dude, do I put Conor in the S tier? There's no evidence of underage stuff, which when we're talking Epstein files, I don't think that McGregor is an S tier, especially when you consider the Jim West and Pat Barry and Movsar type of vibes and Pavel Fedorov vibes that you see in here. This is a tricky one. I'm going to go with A tier for Conor. We move on to the very last person, and that is Mike Perry. I know we love Mike Perry. He put BKFC on the map. He's a funny guy. He fought Jake Paul, but he got into a fight with Eddie Alvarez and Eddie Alvarez's team at Knucklemania in Philadelphia. I think that was about 2.5 weeks ago. It happened cage side or ringside, whatever. And apparently Eddie Alvarez, this is according to Eddie Alvarez, I'll play the clip, but according to Eddie Alvarez, Mike Perry was trying to hit on his son's girlfriend who is 17 years old.
Drunk as shit. And then he tells my son, he tells Eddie that he should do something about it. If he didn't like it, he should do something. So a 130-pound kid should do something to Mike Perry if he didn't like him trying to talk to his girl. And then he turns to me and says to me, hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm wrong, but I think you should do something about it. To my face like that. What the fuck am I supposed to do? You're a mess, drunk mess, trying to bitch up my son, trying to talk to a teenage girl. My whole family's here. My son Anthony's there. You put me in a real bad spot, like terrible spot as a father.
So Mike Perry, married man with children, out and about, trying to spit game on a 17-year-old. Now, I put him higher than Khabib and Tabitha Ritchie because she's in a consensual relationship. He's in a relationship with his cousin. Mike Perry making a little bit of a run for a 17-year-old. And of course, there's the obvious possibility that he didn't know her age and that she may have looked older than she is. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just talking about possibilities. But at the same time, Eddie Alvarez made it sound like Mike Perry's a creep, and he's got a wife and kids at home, a wife that's cornered him in fights. So semi-Diddy, not full Diddy like Jones, not full Epstein like Pat Barry and Jim West, but still a little bit of Diddy, a little bit of Epstein, a little bit of Dan Hooker vibes. You know what I mean? Not in Mike Perry's case, but in Jon Jones's case, heavy Dan Hooker vibes. Now, there we have the most recognizable people that have very public allegations and weird details about their romantic life and their, I guess, sexual proclivities is what you could say. So there we have it, guys. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Who did I miss? Who should have been on here? Should somebody have been higher or lower? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, I am not making light of the Epstein files. I am not making light of abuse and grooming. But I think, there's a lot of serious stuff going on in the news these days. There's a lot of serious stuff going on in combat sports. And I think if we can bring a little bit of levity to it and we can make fun of some people that are very obviously creeps, then we should go ahead and do that. I mean, I don't think the details about these people being weirdos should be like a hush hush thing. I think that if you are a groomer, a rapist, even marrying your cousin in a forced arranged marriage, or even like the whole Movsar thing, or you're meeting a girl at 14 years old and marrying her like Pat Barry and Jim West, or just a flat out rapist like Isaac Mitchell allegedly, you should be called out and you should be mentioned in the exact same vein as the shit that happened in the Epstein files. Because as we're seeing, this stuff runs pretty fucking deep in our society with powerful people, whether that be powerful political people or powerful athletes as well. So there we have my UFC fighters likely to be on the Epstein list tier list. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you guys next time. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video, and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.